What is up, guys? Welcome. Crypto FUD. And let's jump right into this. What's going on with the chat? Let me see here. Prism chat. Oh, no. Sorry, guys. It's telling me that the chat's not working for some reason. Oh, yeah. All right, well, I'm going to have to look at a different source. I can't see anything in the chat right now. Hold on. This sucks. I'm going to have to pull the stream up on another screen. Hold on here.
Build a website you love.
Really? They're giving
with
me ads
Wix.
on my own video?
For your words.
There we go. I can see everything.
For your words.
All right, so it's going to be a little bit delayed.
For your words.
All right, so it's going to be a little bit delayed.
For your words.
Welcome. Be a little bit delayed.
For your words.
Welcome. Be a little bit delayed.
For your words.
Welcome. Be a little bit delayed.
For your words.
Welcome. Be right now Bitcoin.
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 For your words.
Right now, 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 Bitcoin.
For your words.
Let me see here. All right. Can you guys hear me? Are we good now? All right. Yeah, I think it's because I have the stream on a different screen, but technically connected to the same computer. I don't know. I have no idea what's going on, but just let me know if the audio starts going bad. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, Marlon, I appreciate that. Punk said it sounds like we're at a nightclub. We are, bro. We are at a nightclub right now, dude. Make sure you guys slap those likes because we're at the nightclub right now, all right? Punk said, voices in my head. Flip, what's going on, bro? Jay, what's going on, dude? Overcome said he's been buying... Is it Pyth? Is that how you pronounce it, Pyth? We're going to cover that here in a second. Flip said it sounds like my ex every time she calls me. Here we go. All right, but listen, guys, is this just all I need right now? Someone tell me, is the sound fine right now? Is everything good, like normal? Or do I need to, like, restart the stream? All right, sounds good. All right, perfect. All right, well, I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on. I guess it's something's up with the program that I'm using because it's not even giving me the chat. So, all right, we're good. Well, let's do this before the voices come back, guys. The voices. So, like I was saying, Bitcoin right now sitting at around 112.5. We did see a nice little move from yesterday, right? So yesterday was kind of a crappy day. We did drop down. Was this yesterday? I'm like so backed up. So this was a few days ago. Obviously, we dropped down to that 108. Yesterday, though, really wasn't that good of a day. You can see we've been slowly making our way, making higher lows, but we haven't seen any kind of an explosive move as of yet, right? So what's going on? Well, I was expecting today we were going to see some kind of a bigger move. We got it last night because I guess a lot of the people were anticipating the GDP coming out. GDP really wasn't a big market mover. The S&P not doing bad. The actual stock market not doing terrible. Dow Jones is in the red slightly, but the DXY is down, the VIX is down. So it's kind of a mixed breed. Gold has slowly been moving up, and that usually tends to show us that obviously a lot of people are a little scared for whatever reason. I have no idea what they're actually scared of. I mean, we have a lot of stuff going on right across the country. We have a lot of stuff geopolitical as far as, just with Venezuela. I don't think these are things that are really market movers, but who knows how these big investors and Wall Street's working right now. You can see as far as the Fed with the FOMC meeting coming up in less than 3 weeks, this is going to be a big mover right here. You can see we're still sitting at around 87%, looking solid. We have moved slightly. We were at around 91% as of yesterday. We have moved down slightly as of now, but I mean, things look great. Things look great as of right now. Looking at the crypto bubbles, you can see obviously Pyth is up 65%. Overcome said he's been buying the hell out of that. Crow, we covered this on our members only stream a few days ago. Crow making a big move with the government, obviously, and it's up 17%. Again, Chrono's ecosystem has been doing absolutely fantastic as well. A lot of money has been flying back into Crow and Chrono's ecosystem. But other than that, if you look across the board, I mean, it's like a mixed breed. We have Arrow down, obviously biggest swap on base, but we have a lot of other projects like Radium, which Radium's a big swap that's on Solana, right? Solana's been getting a lot of traction lately, and we're going to talk about this here in a minute. Pump Swap's up almost 3%. Chainlink, we're going to talk about that here in a second too, up about 3%. So, I mean, it's like kind of a mixed breed today as far as like the market's up or down. It's kind of just one of those days where if it's up, other than Pyth and Crow, it's really just, there's not really massive movers. There's probably some one-offs that are doing pretty good, but for the most part, nothing too crazy. And you can see even Ethereum has been cooling down, right? Did my chat just pop up? Oh, it didn't. I'm like working blind here without this chat, bro. I'm dying here. I really am dying. For Ethereum, you guys can see Ethereum has been really just, right now it's sitting in a fantastic spot. I mean, think about this. We're at 4,500, guys. Just a few weeks ago, we were literally sitting in the threes, and just a month ago, we were down at 2,600. So, I mean, Ethereum has moved up like crazy. You're going to see times where we had this massive move. Obviously, we got these downward movement, but we saw another really big move towards the upside to make all-time highs, and we're kind of just sitting silently in a channel right now where we are hitting our head at around 46.65, and we have some support as of now somewhere around that 4,500, a little bit under 4,500. So, I mean, right now, we'll take it. Everything's kind of sitting down, not doing too crazy. We do have some outliners, though, that are moving pretty well, like Solana. Solana has been doing fantastic as of late. Since it broke above 200, it has been holding pretty well. Let me zoom out a little bit on Solana. What is going on with Solana? Well, there's a lot of things going on. I already said this probably a few weeks ago, and we covered an article in regards to a Solana treasury that's being created for $1 billion. ETFs are on the horizon for Solana and maybe a few other projects, but I am almost certain that Solana is going to be getting its ETF coming up. At least we're going to get news of the approval coming up into October, which technically is in about 6 weeks from now when we're going to get that news. So you're seeing Solana starting to pick up. A lot of people have been kind of on the fence. What do you think is going to be really moving the market? Is it going to be still Ethereum moving the market, or are we going to start seeing other projects like maybe Solana taking the limelight and potentially moving alts towards, higher levels? We don't know yet. I don't think that Solana is actually going to move the whole market. I think Ethereum is going to stay king of alts for now. But what I do anticipate is that Solana is probably going to be picking up as we continue to get through these next few weeks, and most likely through September, going into in towards like October and stuff like that. Obviously, with the ETF approval, I'm thinking that Solana, we could start seeing some all-time highs coming for Solana. And what's great about that is even if maybe you're not fully into Solana, but let's say you're in some meme coins that are on Solana, right? A lot of us on the channel, we are trading a lot of Solana ecosystem, right? Along with Chronos and Base and stuff like that. But you're having a lot of Solana projects not doing bad today. Maniki up. These numbers actually just restarted, but Maniki's up right now. I mean, technically it says it's up about 3%, but it's actually up a lot more other than that. But you have across my list of DeFi projects, a lot of them are in Solana because Solana has been starting to make its way up. Also for Chronos as well, like the crab with knife, right? This small project out of nowhere is starting to pop up, and that's because Call has been doing actually fantastic, waking up from the dead. You guys can see a nice move towards the upside, and nothing particularly happened for this project. It's just Chronos is starting to see money flowing into the ecosystem, so people are starting to FOMO back in to some of these bigger projects that are on Chronos. So, and I'm anticipating that with Solana potentially getting that ETF, we're going to start seeing a lot of limelight on Solana, and you're going to start seeing a lot of people FOMOing in on a lot of the bigger meme coins that are on Solana-based projects. Not just meme coins, though. We have other projects. I know we've been talking about Zbeck a lot on the channel. You can see Zbeck really hasn't been doing too much as of the last week. It's been kind of in one of these modes where it kind of goes into, where every time it does this, it'll kind of fall into these channels where it's like a downward channel, and then out of nowhere it just picks up and we start making new local highs, right? But the fact is that even Zbeck, which we love on the channel, is sitting pretty solid around 43 right now. In my opinion, beautiful opportunity to just be accumulating and dollar cost averaging in on Zbeck is my opinion for that. So, bro, I'm so sorry, guys. I'm gonna keep complaining about this, but I'm so pissed that my chat's not up here like it normally is, and I'm having to look over on another screen to read a delayed chat. So let me just jump back in here. So, all right, we're good. Crow pumped last night. Let's pull up Crow's chart. Oops. It's not my chart that I wanted. Bro, just grabbed the wrong chart again, but it's all right. Is Crow going to $1? It almost went to $1 back in 2021, man. It literally almost went to $1. I'm about to move this fib retracement a little bit. So looking at Crow right now. Oh yeah, look at that. So looking at Crow right now, a couple things. So we talked about this article with Crow. It obviously wasn't Trump himself, but I guess it's the company that he's running, or he's affiliated with. They are in partnership with Crow. I don't really remember the ins and outs of everything that's going on, but obviously I don't know if it's Liberty Financial or whatever their company, but they purchased, I believe, up to, I think it was 16% of the circulating supply of Crow, right? And they're going to start implementing it on certain things that are going to be pretty big for Crow and Crow's ecosystem, particularly for their DeFi. That's why you're seeing Call and a lot of projects picking up on their DeFi. One thing I will say is, looks like we made a local high of around 39 cents. Damn, Crow shot the flip up. I'm kind of pissed because I had a bunch of flipping Crow a month ago, and I swapped it over. We had a little bit of a move up, and I swapped it over to USDC, and now all that's sitting in USDC, and it could have freaking doubled or tripled while it was sitting there. Damn, I missed that one right there, but it is what it is. So it looks like Crow ran up, hit its head at around 39 cents right before that 40 cents. But look how bullish this is. We're on the 1 hour, the 236. It's got massive support as of now on the 1 hour. It came back, tested it, got it as support, retesting it again on another hour candle, and that's around the 31 cent mark as of now. So I mean, Crow looks like it's most likely going to stay up as long as this market can kind of keep up, right? I think right now the where we're at, and you can see as far as fear and greed index, we dropped down into obviously we've been in neutral, but look at this, we're almost getting back into fear, right? Which you guys know I always say actually is a good time to be accumulating And this might be the last big accumulation zone that we're in before we get into that parabolic stage. But we're in a spot right now where the market, I don't know if it's because of all the headlines. We covered this a month ago about, September usually being not the best month for crypto, right? If we go back to the last 4-year cycle, right, we've talked about this so many times. I don't even want to beat up a dead horse anymore, but we're going to continue to talk about it till we get through. But you go back 4 years ago in the last cycle, and September was a red month. It was down 7%. And really, this doesn't do justice, right? I always refer to, we go back and we look at the charts, and really September was brutal. We saw a 25% drop in Bitcoin by the first week of September. But what was crazy is that Bitcoin picked up and rebounded by the end, almost basically by the third week of September. We were already up and we already rebounded. So where we saw that 25% drop, but we ended the month only down 7%. So that means we saw basically a 20% rebound within maybe 10, 15 days of that massive drop, right? And then going into the following month, which was October, you can see we ran up another 40% on top of that 20% gain. This was just in Bitcoin. So imagine what the rest of the market was doing, right? You're talking about 40% up for just Bitcoin alone. Imagine Ethereum was probably up 40 or 50%. Alts were starting to pick up like crazy because guess what? The following month of 2021 was the peak of the market, and going into October and going into November, that was the parabolic stage that we had. Just those 2 months, basically 6 weeks of this parabolic move for alts, where we saw a massive surge of money just flying in, going into alts, and that's when all your favorite alts were going, 5x, 10x's, going crazy. So is it going to happen exactly like that? We don't know. We don't know exactly. I think the time frames are going to be slightly off, but the point of what I'm getting to is September normally tends to be not the best month for crypto. It usually ends up being a solid month for DCAing before we get into the last 3 months of a cycle, which tend to be usually a good month for crypto. I mean, really, if you even just don't even look at the cycle, the 4-year cycles, if you look at like 2020, look at this. October, November, December, 27, 42%, 46%. You go back to 2023, October, 28%, November, 8.8%, December, 12%. We go back into time, 2017, October, 47%, November, 53%, December, 38%. 2016, 14%, 5%, 30%. 2015, holy shit, 33, 19, and 13%. Holy crap, if you really look at 2013 when the market cap was so low, November of 2013, Bitcoin jumped up 450%. That's crazy. But the point of what I'm getting to, right, I think you guys understand, is historically speaking, even if we're not even in a bull freaking cycle, October, November, December tend to be solid months for the crypto and really for stocks as well. So I don't know if this is the reason why a lot of people are maybe hedging before we get into September, and that's why we're not seeing a lot of volume, right? We're not seeing that V-shaped recovery. We saw what we saw this past weekend, right? We covered it, that big whale selling off a massive portion of his Bitcoin during the weekend when there was no volume, right? So Bitcoin dropped down 5% literally in an hour because of just that drop, because there was no buys coming in as well, right? But since then, we've recovered slightly, because that was when we dropped down to 108, but we haven't seen that V-shaped recovery that we normally see. And I'm thinking it's probably because the markets right now are looking at September and they're like, you know what? September's not the best month. Maybe I'm going to wait to see if there's a bigger dip so I can, take advantage of that, right? Because I know a lot of us are thinking the same thing. I'm even thinking that like that, right? For a lot of my projects, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to wait. I'm not going to go crazy. I have been dollar cost averaging in, right? Because we've been kind of down on some of the projects that I'm on, right? So I've been dollar cost averaging in, but I'm not really going crazy buying big amounts because I'm kind of waiting to see what does September bring. I know we have a lot of people like Flip saying September is going to be a solid month, right? And a lot of people are kind of going against the narrative, like, because the market's thinking, oh, September is going to be bad. A lot of people are thinking, you know what? Watch September being actually a solid month, and we have 4 solid green months ahead of us. Obviously, that would be the best preferred scenario, but again, we don't know until we're getting in there. So with that, it's just kind of like a wait and see game. We'll see how we end off as far as for August. Right now, we're technically down about 2%. August always ends up being not the best month, and obviously September, it's you can see all this red for the last, not last year, not last 2 years, right? But you go back and you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years in a row, September was in the red, right? So, and that's not even counting other Septembers that were red. So, it is what it is. The only thing I really can say, right, is obviously I'm not giving out financial advice, but if we do see some kind of a big correction in the markets, guys, personally, I am not going to be getting scared because we've gone through this. Like I said, if you've been through 2021 and you went through that 25% drop within a week in September of 2021, it was craziness, right? What were we hearing during those times? Exactly what you're hearing right now. That was all over YouTube yesterday. I can't tell you how many times I peeped in on some of these streams and the whole topic was, did we top out already, right? Was that the top, right? I know you heard it too. It was all over everywhere because that's what people are thinking. Did Bitcoin top already? Did the markets top already? Ethereum hit all-time highs. Was that the top? That's exactly what we were going through in September of 2021. And imagine Bitcoin dropped 25%. So people were really running with this narrative. And a lot of retail was terrified. They got shook out. And like I said, by the end of September, it was only a few weeks later, we already rebounded. And then the next few months were absolutely the best time to be alive, as far as that year for crypto, because that was when everything just went absolutely craziness. The stories that you hear, that's when it happened, was during those months. So obviously, if we see a big correction, I'm going to take advantage of it. So let's just jump into a couple articles here. I won't keep you guys for too long. So Pyth rockets 48%, Crow's up 38%, 24-hour altcoin gainers you can't ignore. You just can't ignore these, right? So Pyth and Crow rose about 48 and 38% over the 24 hours, leading altcoin performance as Crow-linked tokens reacted to a new treasury venture and Oracle markets price fresh headlines and listings. Crow's move tracked a three-way deal to create a publicly traded Crow-focused treasury vehicle. Trump Media and Technology Group, Crypto.com, and Yorkville SPAC disclosed plans for Trump Media Group Crow strategy, funded with $1 billion in Crow, $200 million in cash, and $220 million in warrants, and an additional $5 billion in equity line, with Yorkville to relist under the ticker MCGA. Whoa, is that why that one project was Make Crow Great Again? I wonder if that's the reason why that project, where is that? Right here. Make Crow Great Again. I wonder if they're affiliated with them. They can't be. They can't be. This is not their project. But it makes you wonder, huh? Right, Ricky? Ricky here? Gina, what's going on, girl? Sorry, I'm delayed on my chat here. So, related details appeared in filings and press summaries, including Crypto.com's agreement to buy $50 million worth of Trump Media stock and Trump Media's $105 million Crow purchase. Liquidity then rotated across Chronos applications. VVS Finance up 36%. The chain's largest decentral exchange posted a short-term jump in fees and DEX turnovers in DeFi Llama's trackers, aligning with the chain-wide uptick in activities. Loaded Lions was up 11%. Let's see here. And Pyth spike followed market structure changes rather than protocol economics. Pyth stated on its official channels that the U.S. Department of Commerce selected the network to verify and publish economic data on-chain, naming quarterly GDP as an initial data set. Sharp Trade commented, Pyth is literally the national treasury now. U.S. government just made a crypto oracle in its official accountant, which the official Pyth account confirmed. Separately, let's see here, liquidity support arrived this week as OKX enabled Pyth margin trading, adding leverage and borrow routes that can accelerate spot derivatives feedback loops. Broader Pyth distribution and publishers' growth remain documented in the project's materials. Drift's advance 11% aligned with activity on Solana's perps. The protocol introduced a new fee scheduled effective August the 5th that tier makers and takers fee by 30-day volume and introduce additional rebates for Drift stakers per the team's update page. Sorry, that was a tongue twister right there. So they're pretty much just going over, everything that's going on right now, right? That's kind of like, maybe this is headlines in the crypto space, but not really, right? You're seeing what we just read. I know it was a lot of information all at once, but basically just different things. We have Pyth. That's literally now, they're basically saying that they are literally the national treasury for the U.S. government and made a crypto oracle for the official account. You're seeing a lot of big moves with Pyth. Obviously, we're seeing a lot of integration with Crow now, and so on and so on as we continue to move. So those are some of the alts that are doing really well as of now. I think next month, well, not next month, but the following month, it's going to be, I think, Spotlight's going to be on Solana, in my opinion, right? Right now, we're getting a lot of, with Crow, again, like with Pyth Network, that's nothing but bullishness right there. But I think down the road in the next few weeks, everything's going to be switching over to Ethereum and Solana. So let's see here. So flows at the index level provided a backdrop. Spot Ethereum ETFs recorded large net inflows in recent sessions, including August the 21st totals across issuers and earlier record daily highs this month. When Ethereum leads on primary market demand, higher beta assets often catch residual bid as liquidity extends down the curve. A pattern consists with today's distribution across Pyth, Crow, BVS, Lion, and Drift. Basically what they're saying is because Ethereum has been doing so fantastic, right? You're seeing people now interested in other alts, right? What have we been saying? Ethereum brings in that retail money. Even though a lot of this is institutional money, it's bringing the spotlight over to alts. This is how it all starts every time, guys. Every time. And then, a lot of times Ethereum does its thing. Ethereum runs just like Bitcoin. Bitcoin runs. Ethereum might move, with Bitcoin for a little while, but you don't see one of them outperforms the other, right? Bitcoin has been outperforming Ethereum for a certain amount of time, and then bam, a lag effect. Ethereum starts taking over, right? What do you think's next? It's going to be alts. It's not going to be, maybe Solana takes over briefly, but I don't think Solana's going to run the market like Ethereum does. But the point is that Ethereum's having its run. Ethereum's holding at solid levels even right now while the market's not doing, right now while the market's kind of just trading sideways. But in these next few weeks, you're going to start seeing interest shifting, not necessarily selling off on Ethereum, but just looking for those 5x, those 10x, those low cap projects, meme coins, right? You're going to see all this interest start shifting over, and this is when we start getting into that parabolic money flying in. This is when you're going to start seeing the market cap for the whole crypto space start running up. Right now, we're right under that 4 trillion mark, but when we actually are running, guys, and you're in that parabolic stage, I've seen analysts in the last week or two calling for a quick move towards that $10 trillion mark for the whole crypto space, right? And you're talking $3-4 trillion flying into the crypto space, on top of what we have right now, So again, all this stuff right here has happened before. Maybe not the exact news or anything like that, but this is how it normally works, where interest starts to shift from Bitcoin to Ethereum, and from Ethereum over to the smaller cap projects, and you just start seeing that distribution of liquidity kind of moving with it, right? So, but Ethereum's ETF, they raced past 30 billion with $307 million in inflow as Bitcoin suffers $800 million of outflow. So U.S. listed Ethereum exchange traded funds ETF continue their positive momentum on August the 27th, which was yesterday, adding 307 million in fresh inflows. According to the social value data, BlackRock's Ethereum A or ETHA accounted for the lion's share, drawing in 262 million, representing nearly 85% of the day's total. Fidelity's ETF for Ethereum and Grayscale's ETF for Ethereum contributed to 20.5 million and 15.05 million respectively, while Grayscale's ETF and VanEck's ETF added smaller sums of around 5 and 3 million. Meanwhile, this inflow marked the 5th consecutive trading day for gains for the 9 products. Community, let's see here. Oh, yeah. So for spot Ethereum, ETFs have attracted roughly 1.83 billion in inflows over this 5-day run, reflecting a significant institutional appetite for the asset. So what are we seeing here, guys? Is this something to be worried about? Absolutely not. But what we're seeing here is that a lot of money is just strictly just flying into a lot of it's flying into Ethereum, and I wouldn't be surprised if maybe a lot of money is coming out of Bitcoin and going into Ethereum, right? I mean, in all due reality, you're seeing outflows on Bitcoin on the same day you're seeing inflows of massive inflows coming in on Ethereum, right? So I don't have any worries. Bitcoin's at a solid spot for right now, you know, and it will, we're going to have times even in the next few weeks where Bitcoin will briefly take over again, you know, and kind of get that flow back going as far as, you know, Bitcoin, you know, moving up maybe towards back to those, like we predicted on the members only stream the other day, back up towards that 118, 120, 120,000 mark. But at the same time, you know, Ethereum has been just building and building and building. And we talked about this the other day. Ethereum, a lot of analysts are thinking that Ethereum is going to go to $10,000 by December, which is literally less than 3 months from now. So, or it is actually 3 months and a few days. So, Gina said, how's Call doing? She's doing good. She's doing all right. Just kidding. She's doing great. Where is Call? Not passing it. So, I mean, Call's doing great. Hold on. Let me go back to the other chart. Call's doing great. I mean, you can see, and since the Chronos announcement, right, you can kind of go and see, I mean, it's up about 56%. We did have a nice little blow off top. It ran up to about 91% in the last few days. So, I mean, it looks good. We'll have to see if they can keep this momentum going is really what it is, right? You guys know Call likes to run up, and then it likes to come back down to these levels and kind of sit around, you know, until the next big news event comes. So, as of now, I mean, you're seeing a nice, like I said, a nice little move towards the upside to be expected with a lot of money flying into Chronos. But we're going to see if this can actually keep up. I think that's the big thing is if it can actually keep up with the momentum, or are we going to have some kind of a sell-off and come back down towards some of these levels. So, last article, we won't really read much into it. Solana's price rises to 6-month high on optimism over a, what is this? Alpenglow upgrade? I haven't read this at all, so let's see. So Solana's token has pushed to levels not seen since February, lifted by a renewed community confidence in a major network proposal. Data from the Crypto Slate shows that Solana's briefly rose to about $250 this week, gaining more than 6% in the last 24 hours before easing slightly to $214 as of press time. This rally placed the token back at its strongest point since early February, when it last traded near $216. According to the analytics firm, retail sentiment has turned sharply positive, with investors making nearly 6 bullish comments for every bearish one. Okay. Notably, this is the highest ratio recorded in over 2 months. So meanwhile, this price momentum has come despite slowing activity on Solana's decentralized exchanges. A Dune Analytics dashboard shows that the network's daily active traders have dropped by more than 80% from January's meme coin driven peak of 5 million. For 4 straight days, user numbers have remained below 1 million mark. Damn. The decline reflects a clear pivot among retail investors on the network towards other blockchains like Ethereum. Ampelin Glow update. I know I'm not saying that not pronouncing that correctly, but the latest price momentum coincides with the early community support for SIMD 0326, a proposal described as one of the most significant consensus upgrades in Solana's history. The proposal seeks to simplify the network's architecture by removing latency components such as proof of history, tower BFT, and gossip-based vote propagation. If implemented, the upgrade would reduce block finalization times to about 150 milliseconds, placing Solana in line with other high-speed platforms designed for trading applications. Notably, Solana's co-founder, Anity, has publicly encouraged the community to support the proposal, describing it as a key step forward. Unsurprisingly, early voting data indicates strong backing for the change, with 11% of Solana stakers endorsing the new update, while only 0.1% have opposed it. Around 100 validators have already casted the vote. So, I mean, basically what it sounds like with all the other jibber jab is pretty much they're just trying to increase the speed on which the transactions go through and being able to accommodate more transactions per block, right? So what blows my mind is they're saying that more people are using other ecosystems. Let's see. I mean, this is based off of volume, right? So this is how much money has actually flowed onto particular ecosystems. And you can see as of now, looking at Solana for the 24 hours, we're just under that $10 billion mark. We look at Ethereum, it's around 2.7 billion. Base, 1.8 billion. Binance, 7 billion. Binance is doing fantastic. And then we have Pulse Chain and all the other ones. Chronos, let's see here, is at $105 million for Chronos. That's actually that's crazy. Because remember I was telling you guys, Chronos, what was it just a month ago? Chronos was doing like $1 million, $2 million a day in volume. Look at that, $105 million for the last 24 hours. That's crazy. And we're starting to see for the last week, we've seen a lot of these projects that have been very dormant. They're all slowly having their day where they're all up 50 to 100%, right? Before people start taking profits on Chronos. So, but back to Solana. I mean, right now there's a lot of options, right? You have a lot of people that are using Base, right? Binance has been doing fantastic. You can see they're the second, as far as per volume. Binance has been ripping. Binance itself has been making all-time highs, right? BNB. So, I mean, you're seeing a lot of these ecosystems picking up. And this, something that we haven't really talked about recently, is we talk about altcoin season, right? We talk about, like what I was just saying, how Bitcoin runs, Ethereum lags, but eventually runs, and then it pushes over to the alts. And at some point, alts have their time where they go very parabolic, right? You're seeing a lot of liquidity flowing in. But one thing we haven't mentioned, what always happens as well, is like a brief DeFi season where a lot of money actually flows into DeFi, right? A lot of money that's not normally trading like we trade. We're all in DeFi. We buy, meme coins and stuff like that on swaps. A lot of people, they don't do that, right? A lot of people don't know how to actually just, get their own DeFi wallet and start using these certain ecosystems, which I know to us, it seems like it's like you could do it in your sleep because we've done it for years. A lot of new investors that come in, they don't understand that you can actually get into some of these projects before they get onto central exchanges, or you can bypass the central exchanges with cheap swap fees through downloading a DeFi wallet, and doing it yourself, right? But the point of what I'm getting to is eventually a lot of these people, they learn how to do this, or they want to learn, and money starts flowing into these DeFi ecosystems, right? And you're going to see this happening where right now, you can mark my words, Solana today, $9 billion. I wouldn't be surprised in the next few months, Solana's doing $20, $30 billion days, right? Chronos, if it can stay, in the limelight, I wouldn't be surprised if Chronos doing $500-600 million days, right? BNB, 20, 30 billion dollar days, right? Ethereum, 10, 20 billion dollar days, 10xing basically, or not 10xing, but 2 to 3, 4xing the volume that they're doing right now, as far as on their ecosystems. I wouldn't be surprised because I saw this happening back in 2021. I actually made a lot of money. I know we do a lot of DeFi trading right now. I understand, but I'm saying I made a lot of money when we went into that DeFi season back in 2021. It was like every morning I would just come in and I would just start, just jumping in on stuff because it was like no matter how high the project was, it was going to move up another 20, 30, 40% that day. Just because it was just so much money coming into the DeFi space, right? And what it's like nature. Bitcoin runs, then Ethereum, alts, and then from there on, it's like people are. It's like the money just is looking for another 10, 20, 30x. They go into DeFi, right? And that's where you're going to see a lot of these big gains because a lot of these projects, even if it's a solid project on a DeFi, whatever ecosystem, you can fill in the blank, right? They're at $10, $20 million. That's chump change to what they could possibly get to, right? If a lot of money comes in, these projects could easily run up to hundreds of millions of dollars, 10, 20, 30xing whenever we see this surge and liquidity coming in to DeFi. So I'm saying it now. It happened in 2021. It's most likely going to happen again. We saw a lot of this already kind of happen, even not being in that parabolic stage. You go back a year ago, like they said in January, was the hype of meme coins on Solana. Solana was doing $20 billion days for volume. Yes, it was because everybody was jumping in on meme coins, right? But it wasn't that DeFi season particularly. We're going to be getting into that, I'm guessing here, probably as we get into that parabolic stage for alts and it kind of trickles over all that money. Just think of a tidal wave of liquidity that's coming, right? It's kind of already gone through Bitcoin. It's hitting Ethereum, and it's like literally hovering over the whole altcoin sector as of now, and it's eventually going to just go flowing in, right? And filling in on all those gaps. And one of those gaps are going to be, a big void is going to be that DeFi sector that a lot of money is going to be flying into. So remember to vote said, watch the Pi oscillator. Very helpful to remove emotions. Buy green, sell red. KISS method works. Cost average in and out. Hell yeah. Gene, what's going on? Said, what's your price prediction? Hey, guys, listen. If you guys are just joining and you're like, why the hell isn't he reading my comments or anything like that? The comments are delayed and I have to look at a whole nother screen, unfortunately. So that's the only reason why I'm like 10 minutes behind on the chat. Let's see here. Jay said, if Call's doing good, I'm sure Crab is too. Exactly. Gene, what's your price prediction for Crow in the next 3 months? I don't know, bro. I mean, who knows? If we go back on Crow and you look at the previous cycle, Crow got so close to $1, bro. It got so close to $1. I mean, where is it? On my chart, it got to 98 cents. We were all like, Crow's gonna hit $1. I mean, technically, I guess you can just give it to it, right? Like, it hit $1, right? It was like right below it. If you guys remember, what a time to be alive back in 2021. Crow was just like, I just remember going through, I was buying and selling, like doing a lot of scalp trading on Crow. But this is when Crow was up here doing this, Crow's ecosystem was going flipping ape shit, right? And I mean, just there was so much money going into DeFi for Crow, because at the time too, there really wasn't a lot of ecosystems. Right now, there's a lot of ecosystems, right? A lot of different DeFi ecosystems compared to then, so a lot of money was in Crow at the time. I don't know if this is going to be like this time. It probably will, just because it's got such a big boost now working with the government or whatever the hell, the story that we just read in regards to Trump and his company and stuff like that. So prediction wise, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. Let's look up real quick. I want to see what the circulating supply is for Crow. I'm curious. What's the market cap? So market cap's at around just under $11 billion. Circulating supply is at $33 billion. So this is good to know because in order for Crow to get to $1, it would obviously need to get the market cap would need to basically 3x and get up to about $33.6 billion for the market cap. So can that happen? 100%. 100%. Especially with all this, I want to say like advertisement that it's going through right now with the government and stuff like that. I wouldn't be surprised. So 3 months from now would put us right at, 3 months from now would put us a little bit past the 4-year cycle. Again, we have different scenarios. I'm right here with you guys. I've been saying 4-year cycle, 4-year cycle, 4-year cycle, and I'm still going to say that until proven wrong, right? And we were talking about this during the members only stream. And on the members only stream, I'll give you guys a little juice here, a little sauce. We're planning for that 4-year top, right? Meaning in the next few months, most likely somewhere around October to November, potentially seeing some kind of a blow off top in the whole space, right? But there is other scenarios where we could easily run into 2026 and have some kind of a super cycle, right? What we're doing on the member stream is we're planning for that November, December, October, November, December, probably closer towards like the last cycle, the end of November, somewhere around there, top. But if we run into 2026, that's just a plus because that's just giving us more time, more money to flow into the space. I bring this up because the question is where do you see Crow in 3 months from now? I think that's where it all falls into. Where are we going to be in 2 months from now, right? Where are we going to be at the end of October? Are we in this parabolic stage, right? Has it started? Did we already go through it? Are we just getting into the beginning stages? That is what is going to be the main thing that we're focusing on, especially on the member stream, is focusing on really catching those signs of a top, even if it's a local top or whatever the case is. That's going to be our major thing that we're doing on our member stream. And I say this because 3 months from now, who knows, right? Who knows where we're going to be? Where does Crow potentially have, where could Crow go to potentially at the top would be a better question. And like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if Crow briefly runs up and finally hits that $1, right? Because it's already at 11 billion. We could see if it gets more institutional, attention. Crow could easily run up and start accumulating that market cap of billions and billions of dollars in these next few weeks, these next few months, right? So I would probably say that $1 is on the line, but I would easily say roughly, if we're going to say maybe in the next few months, if the market allows, you have some key spots that we're looking for. 50 cents is going to be a big one that I think it's going to most likely hit. And then the next one would probably be somewhere around that 68, 70 cent mark would be the next big spot that I would look for as far as some kind of a, maybe if it's not a all-time top for this season, maybe some kind of a local top that it's going to get to. But remember, in order for it to get to these areas, you're talking about a 2x from, well, not a 2x, but getting up to 50 cents. You're talking about a $16 billion market cap, and then getting up to 70 cents. Now you're talking about a 2x, getting up towards that $21 billion market cap. That's a lot of money, right? It's going to happen at some point. I think for Crow, I think Crow's got a great ecosystem. Obviously, it's a really cool exchange that charges you millions of charges massive amount of money to make trades. So I'm sure they're not doing too bad as far as on their side. But I do see that as institutions attention comes in on Crow, I wouldn't be surprised if this could probably potentially jump up and briefly get close to that $1. Where does it go? We don't know exactly yet, right? That's to be determined with the whole market and where we're at in the next few weeks, the next few months. So, Racer, what's going on, bro? Punk's over here asking tax questions. You working for the IRS, bro? What's going on, man? You working for the IRS? Punk said, I'm just curious, how do taxes work after that? What do you mean? Because I'm delayed. What do you mean after what? I think Punk works for the IRS. I'm just throwing that out there right now. Punk, we all pay our taxes. we're gonna have a whole taxes course in the member stream, right? So Khalil said, "What a time to be alive." Jay, did you already talk about the Trump and Crow Treasury deal that's announced on Crypto.com? We did, brother. We did. I can briefly go back real quick. Let's see here. Is that it right there? What is this? Oh, we missed this article right here with Chainlink. We're going to talk about that in a second. Let me see here. We talked about this. So Trump's Media Technology Group, Crypto.com in Yorkville disclosed plans for a Trump Media Crow strategy funded with $1 billion in Crow, $200 million in cash, $220 million in warrants, and an additional $5 billion in equity lines from Yorkville to relist under the ticker MCGA. Make Crow great again. Yep, so we talked about this, brother. And that's why we're talking about Crow right now, because, I mean, with all that being announced, I mean, Crow could run up to $1, guys. We could be seeing $1 Crow finally. We really could. Let's, real quick, because we missed this Chainlink article real quick. I won't bore you guys. We won't, read word for word, but let's see what it's about. So the U.S. Commerce Department partners with Chainlink to bring macro data on-chain. Crypto adoption rising? ? So Chainlink tweeted, "We're excited to announce that Chainlink and the United States Department of Commerce have worked together to bring the U.S. government microeconomic data on-chain. These new Chainlink data feeds securely deliver critical information around key..." Oh, and then it doesn't have the rest of it. So in a blog, let's see here. Looking to see if they have a simple answer here. Chainlink shared that through its Oracle infrastructure, critical indicators such as real gross domestic products, the GDP, the personal consumption, PCE, price index, and real final sales to private domestic purchasers are now available across 10 blockchains. This move also marks the first time the U.S. government economic data has been published on-chain in a variable way. According to the firm's developers can immediately integrate the Chainlink data feed into decentralized applications, dApps, unlock use cases such as automated trading strategies, composable tokenized assets, prediction markets, and risk management tools for DeFi protocols. It sounds like the damn government called a lot of these big projects. And they're like, we want to work with you, right? Because you have Crow, you have Pyth, now you have Chainlink, and a lot of them are doing a lot of this macro data, right? So, I mean, I think it's pretty cool how, things that you wouldn't even think of as far as with crypto. Everybody thinks crypto is exchanges you can use crypto to go buy stuff. Yeah, certain, right? But I like how on other stuff like Chainlink and with Pyth and stuff like that, they're actually going to be gathering and providing data, economic data, for the government and stuff like that, as in one of the things that they're going to be doing. Something that you wouldn't particularly, or I wouldn't particularly think of, just a few years ago of what, crypto could actually do, for world use data, So Punk said, oh wait, hold on. Remember said, you think it's time to long Bitcoin? I got a flash. I mean, obviously hindsight's 2020. 108 was a great time. What was crazy? Remember is I was I have my I haven't opened up any leverage. It's been maybe a month. I was I've kind of not been doing leverage trading. Not that I was doing bad or anything. I just was kind of stepped away from it for a little while. But the other day when we dropped down to 108, I was like, bro, I should open up a freaking long, and I was like, just hold off. I was like, I'll hold off because I just really haven't been interested in any leverage trading as of late. But I mean, just understand this. I do believe that we are going to be moving up. Tomorrow's Friday, right? So you're going to have the weekend coming in, potential low volume. We saw what happened last weekend. Someone sold off a big whale sold off and there was no one to rebound and catch those buys. So, just be cautious. We did drop down. You can see somewhat of a slight V-shaped recovery since that 108. But if you look, right, and you look at the trend, we're basically right at the top of this trend, right? Now, we could easily break above, but I'm just saying you're buying or you're going to be opening up a position towards the top of this trend when we could maybe come back to retest, certain levels before we blast off, so just keep that in mind. I think personally, if I was to open up a long position right now, well, let me backtrack. If I was to open up a leverage right now, it probably would be a long versus a short, one. Two, if I was going to open up a long position, it would be very low leverage to kind of give me that wiggle room that if we do drop down, potentially to come back to retest certain levels, I can maybe add to that position and bring my liquidity level, farther down, and the hints are in the chance that maybe you come down a little bit more, if that makes any sense for you. Punk said, my bad, I meant once you sell your bags. No, I know what you meant, bro. I'm just messing with you, bro. Taxes are in the crypto space, or it's a sensitive subject, all right, bro? I don't know about you guys, but whenever it's tax time, I cry and I see what the government's taking on top of what they already take from me, weekly and monthly and stuff like that. And I'm just like, my God, does it ever stop, Uncle Sam? Does it? Man, you take everything. Just kidding. But seriously, it's expensive. 25% of everything you make, you have to give to them. Think about that. And that's where I live. If you live in some of these other places around the states, man, it is bad because we don't pay state taxes, right? But if you go over to like New York or California, you're paying like on top of federal, you're paying another like 15% in state taxes as well. Yeah, it's bad. So, I mean, depends on what you're using, Punk. A lot of times, well, every time you can get the information, but I would say a lot of times, like if it's Coinbase or some of these bigger established exchanges, whenever tax season starts, they'll give you an opportunity to, they'll be able to send you via email, PDF, or whatever the case is, what your transactions were. Your P&L, your profits to loss, and then you can kind of act accordingly as far as from there. So, oh, look at this. Punk said I used to be an auditor for the IRS. See, guys, called it. Listen, Punk. If the IRS is on us, we're paying our taxes, all right, bro? We got this. Don't worry. Jeez, they're already after us before the freaking parabolic stage, right? Unrealized gains over here they're trying to take. Sheesh. Just kidding. So before we go, guys, let's just pull up a couple key spots here. Couple key spots. One, what I'll say is, as far as the market right now, guys, again, a couple things, right? September, usually not the best month for crypto. Obviously, things can change. Things can be different this time. We'll see, right? But you guys can see when we're looking at, September for the last 10 plus years, it tends to be a red month, right? We haven't finished August just yet. Maybe we'll jump into the green for August, but it really, at this point, it doesn't really matter as far as that. Remember, let me refresh this real quick. We have less than 3 weeks until the Fed FOMC meeting. I think this is going to be a big thing right here. We have dropped down slightly. We were at 91% yesterday. Today, we have dropped down about 6% in regards to the market, anticipating that we're going to see some kind of a Fed reduction in interest rates, right? We have about 15% thinking we're going to see another pause. I personally, unless something big happens, I think it's already written that Jerome Powell is going to do a 25 basis point reduction in interest rates September, and I think potentially in December. We have September, October, and December are the 3 months that we have. Obviously, these numbers, this is October. We'll take it with a grain of salt, but most of the market is thinking that we're going to see some kind of a either 25 or 50 basis point reduction in October, and then December, the same thing. We have almost 100% of the market thinking we're going to see some kind of a reduction. I think it's going to be 25 in September, 25 in December, and I think when we get into 2026, I think the Feds, as long as inflation stays where it's at or continues to come down, I think they'll start getting aggressive in the beginning of 2026. So we'll see how that plays out. But regardless, guys, we have a lot of big stuff coming, for these next few months. I really do think these next few months, regardless if we have some downward movement ahead of us in these next few weeks, I think these next few months are going to be big for a lot of us, right? For the people that don't get shook out of their positions and kind of let it go, let it be, whatever's happening in the market. I always say this in the Discord to a lot of people that are like analyzing everything. I'm like, bro, just don't overthink this. It's really not that hard. If you're like looking at the 5-minute chart and this and that, and you're going to drive yourself crazy. We know where we're headed. We know what's going to happen here for the most part, right? Obviously, little things are going to be thrown in here, and there's going to be little, stuff that that are not going to be foreseen. But for now, 4-year cycle still in place. That puts us somewhere around October or November, where we're going to at least see some kind of a big top, whether it be that local top or the all-time, highs, and that's the top of the market. We don't know yet. So if any dips happen from here on, obviously I've been taking advantage of it. I'm looking at it as an opportunity, and I'm going to keep stacking up until we get into that parabolic stage, right? And just wait for all that FOMO to come in, all that liquidity that we talked about during the whole stream. So Marlon said he's a tax spy. Nah, we're just messing with you, bro. Punk said, I thought we were getting no taxes on U.S. Oh, that's right, bro. So Punk, real quick before we do go, that is right. He is correct. There are a lot of things getting thrown out right now. Potential where you're not gonna have to pay taxes on crypto gains. But if you remember, we actually covered this article like maybe 2 months ago. It's up to $5,000, right? So if you make up to $5,000, what the bill is proposed is that if you make up to $5,000, you don't have to pay any taxes on that, right? But anything after $5,000, I believe, don't quote me, the numbers could be a little wrong, but after $5,000, I believe that's when the taxes kick in, where you do have to pay on taxes, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm sure we'll get a little bit more. I did see that's kind of popped back up on the airwaves the last few days. So hopefully that passes. I think that's awesome. Even if you're, someone right now is probably watching like, I'm gonna be making 100K. All right, well, hey, you at least get to save money on that at least $5,000 of taxes, right? So it's $5,000 to a lot of people, believe it or not. A lot of people that are in the space, they're not, maybe they're not even trading 5K. So them not having to pay a few $100s in taxes is solid. That's solid. And I think that's awesome, because that's going to probably bring a lot of money as well into the space, because people are thinking, shit, I can go and I can make trades on crypto, and if I do really well, I won't have to pay any taxes, So who knows? But with that being said, guys, that is pretty much it, guys. We covered everything. Other than that, guys, just keep your heads up. We'll be here. Obviously, we'll be back here tomorrow morning to cover, anything else that pops up. But with that being said, guys, stay bullish. Keep your heads up. And I'll see each and every one of you guys here back tomorrow. All right, guys? Thank you again. See ya.